Namaste.
Namaste.
I would like to introduce Dagny, the Head of Development Cooperation at the Norwegian Embassy here in Kathmandu.
And I'm very happy to introduce Shubhangi Rana and Jesselina Rana. You are two young Nepali professionals, entrepreneurs, and young women leaders who are active in a field of great importance to girls and women in Nepal. So I would be very happy to hear about your company and what inspired you to create a social enterprise in the field of menstrual health.
Thank you so much, Dagny. So, PadtoGo was co-founded by Shubhangi and myself in 2018 after we realized the multiple obstacles that exist within the menstrual health sector, negatively impacting the social participation of all menstruating individuals. So, PadtoGo focuses on a holistic approach in the menstrual health sector. We introduced sanitary napkin vending machines for the first time in 2018, focusing on accessibility of sanitary products. But we also realized that accessibility of sanitary products is not the only challenge within this sector. There's also affordable access, as a result of which we implement a threefold approach. Our second approach is that we've collaborated with companies that provide sanitary products, and all products that you provide through our vending machines are less than market rate. And thirdly, we take 10% of profit from the machine and 100% profit from the pads that you vend out from the machine to construct gender and disability friendly toilets in rural schools of Nepal.
How important has it been for you to work on stigma around menstruation in Nepal?
So in these 2 years, what we've seen in the menstrual health field in Nepal is that menstruation, a normal biological process, does not only affect a menstruating individual's education or health, but also is affecting their social participation, like you mentioned, and dignity as well as self-esteem. And all these have an adverse impact on their employment and also empowerment. So something we did see, especially in the rural parts of Nepal, is that 22% of girls miss school during their periods. And there are a lot of reasons for this. One of the major reasons being a lot of menstrual taboos and practices that are still going on in Nepal. These taboos vary from not entering the kitchen, not being allowed to enter the temples or being part of social gatherings, or being kept outside in cow sheds during their periods, which is also known as the Thaupadi Pratha and is still prevalent in far western part of Nepal. Similarly, around 78% of a lot of schools in Nepal have toilet facilities, but out of these, only 25% of schools have consistent water supply. Again, it's really important for these young girls to go to school and be sure that there is water supply, there is toilet supply, so that even during their periods, their focus is not hampered.
It would be really interesting to hear your experience as entrepreneurs, as young female entrepreneurs in Nepal.
So something really interesting was because both Jesselina and I, like you mentioned, are not from the business background or public health background. And that itself was a challenge for us because a lot of times people really did not take our business model and our impact model really seriously. Similarly, another major challenge in Nepal, especially for women, is the patriarchal society itself. A lot of times we do realize that women, when they want to start a business, it's really hard for them to find seed fundings. Even from the government or even from their homes, because a lot of time families don't really back up women when they want to get into the business sector. But definitely saying that, there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of good positive things that have been happening, especially in Nepal.
So, Dagny, what about Norway? What are some of the challenges that young women entrepreneurs face there?
Yeah, in Norway, generally, gender equality has come very far, and we have a very high participation of women in most sectors. And they play key leading roles, both in public and in private and in government today. The policies that have enabled this are manifold, but some of them that I think are particularly important are policies relating to childcare and to maternity leave that have been and are generous and that have been shared between the parents. And also working conditions that have made it possible and easier for women to combine a professional life with a family life. So those are very important measures for our development. However, we see that despite this, and despite the very high participation of women today, there are sectors and areas where we are lagging behind. If you go into leadership, there are less women in leadership positions, and particularly in the very top level private sector leadership positions. We also see, as for entrepreneurs, recent years show us that maybe 1 out of 3 new entrepreneurs are women. So this shows that we still have to work on how to create conducive conditions for more women to create their own companies and to work on this like you're doing here in Nepal. So the topic for this conversation is women in leadership achieving an equal future in the COVID-19 world. Do you have any reflections on what this means to you?
In terms of leadership, I think more than ever right now during the COVID-19 pandemic, where we've seen the disproportionate impact on women and girls especially, it is important to have women in leadership positions so that any policy decisions that are taken are inclusive and they do take into account the distinct needs of all people that it is going to impact.
I think this is a really great vision, and I wish you both all the best in your continuation in your work for girls and women in Nepal. So thank you very much and happy Women's Day.
Thank you. Happy Women's
Happy
Day.
Women's Day.